Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Don't you guys love it when a narrative falls apart in real time? Well, you might be saying, well, Hive Mind, I don't know, you may be overstating it. For a narrative to fall apart, where's the evidence? Do you have evidence of that? Or at least what's the suggestion? Well, folks, when you have a supposed journalist, a quote-unquote journalist, working for CNN doing a live event, a live town hall with a presidential candidate, and then said journalist goes into full-on panic mode, attempting to shut down all responses and shut down the conversation when you know somebody's yelling in her ear, shut it down, well then you know the narrative is in full-on collapse mode. And that's exactly what happened here, as Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely obliterates Nancy Pelosi and CNN's precious little January 6th narrative. What an absolutely epic TV moment. Too bad it aired on CNN so nobody saw it. But let's try to remedy that by amplifying it here on the channel. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so as per usual with Vivek videos, I don't really have to say much. Just take a look.
So let me ask you about something that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th. The next day, Capitol rioter Alan Hostetter highlighted your comments at his sentencing. He is going to prison for 11 years. Hostetter threatened members of Congress. He brought a hatchet, knives, pepper spray, stun batons, tactical gear to the U.S. Capitol. Are you concerned that a convicted felon like that is now promoting your comments in court?
So here's my concern, Abby, and I want to tell you guys where I'm at. If you had told me it's close to 3 years ago that January 6, 2021 happened, if you had told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world, I was just consuming passive media, but was focused on my world of developing medicines. If you had told me that January 6 was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is this. We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list, the Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, all of it. Now we come to January 6th. The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. If I may finish just answering.
Well, let me
this
just.
is really important.
I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you here because
I know the establishment doesn't approve of this message. I know
that there were federal agents.
We should be able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is important to talk about.
You are saying there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th. Yep. There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none? They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that that you have not seen any evidence that
we've
there
seen
were,
we've seen multiple informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked to
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this and you can come back and question me?
Let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
I know this is an uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to do the truth here.
I'm going to clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm asking.
I understand this deeply. And I told you, I was with you 3 years ago. I'm not there now.
Where is the evidence?
Yes.
Where is the evidence that the government had a plot,
let's do this.
an inside job,
but no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is, because I'm not
violence on January 6th.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that. And let's do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd? You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing people in,
again,
right through the front door.
The vast majority of the footage
evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
this is really important.
rioters. That's
I'm going to give you some hard facts.
Of it shows.
So what?
It's stunning that CNN has any credibility with the public even left. And I know that may be a confusing statement for some of you. Obviously, CNN has no credibility, but what I said was credibility with the public left. There's still a good 20 to 30 30% of the population that takes CNN seriously. Let me just say this. Why is she speaking? Stop talking and let the man speak. That's how you know there's somebody talking in her ear telling her abort mission immediately. It's an easy tell because they do it every single time. It's the same thing that Caitlin Collins did during the previous CNN town hall.
I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely left group of people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with them. All of a sudden, they raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like you did.
And so that's the question. 1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Can you answer why you...
I'm pretty sure that this segment was CNN Town Hall with Vivek Ramaswamy and not CNN Town Hall with, I forget the CNN anchor's name, but anyways, this woman, we're tuning in to try to listen to what Vivek has to say. Not your bogus mid-sentence fact check. Well, actually, there's no evidence to suggest that the FBI was in operation in the crowd. Really? I'm pretty sure the former Capitol Police Chief suggested otherwise. I'm pretty sure the non-answer that we've received from the feds tells us otherwise. She just couldn't let the man speak. And of course, the argument on the other side is, well, she has a moral duty. She has a moral duty to stop him from speaking because what he is saying is a dangerous conspiracy theory. Okay, so let's have a conversation about morals. You know, certainly Abby Phillips, I remembered her name, by the way, the CNN journalist on screen. You know, she's certainly challenging Vivek from a position of moral superiority, at least on this issue. But if we just look at their basic interaction here, the claim of moral superiority falls flat. What was the first question that Abby Phillips asked Vivek Ramaswamy? This convicted felon present on the day of January 6th used your words in a courtroom. What do you have to say for yourself? You know, journalists always do this nonsense. This person who's not you, doesn't represent you, and we know nothing about, said this one thing, or mirrored what you said, or repeated your quote, what do you have to say for yourself? What a garbage, unethical question. You know, it starts off as a freaking hit piece, yet we're supposed to accept Abby Phillips claiming moral superiority? Give me a break. Then, of course, the moral thing to do, after morally asking somebody a terrible trash question, the next thing to do is to interrupt them every 2 seconds so they can't even make their point. Because they're so immoral in their speech. You know, the speech that you won't let them engage in because you keep cutting them off. What's really going on here is they know what he's going to say, and they don't want him to say it. So they'd rather shut him off ahead of time. They'd rather cut it off before it red pills too many people. It's the typical, infamous cutaway news phenomenon. Whenever something isn't fulfilling the narrative, quick, cut the feed and go to the next guy. Or like in the presidential debates, cut the guy's microphone off. Or in this case, just keep talking and never let him finish a damn sentence. Every time he attempts to make a point, and he made one very valid point of finally seeing the other side, how the protesters were treated, being hit with rubber bullets and tear gas, in comes the CNN fact check. Well, actually, the vast majority of the video evidence showed Trump supporters indiscriminately attacking Capitol Police officers. Fact check, true. Yeah, just like the overwhelming majority of those BLM riots were actually peaceful protests, right, CNN? Vivek did it to him. This is the perfect display of a couple things. It's the perfect display of how to deal with the media 101, how slimy and dishonest these media actors are in general. And then, of course, the cherry on top, what we are witnessing is the complete and utter collapse of Nancy Pelosi's precious little January 6th narrative that they're fighting so desperately to preserve. How totally pathetic. Anyways, that's the video. That's what I got for you. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.